everybody enjoys these leftist policies. They just don't enjoy them when somebody that looks like me can have access to them too.
I've always thought that is such a weird thing. Like, what makes you think that you deserve something more than someone else?
I'm
Just
white.
based off of looks. Like,
Black people can't be racist.
Hey, welcome back to Black Behind the Chair. I'm Peppermint Petty,
I'm M-Pad.
and we are also joined today by BoutIt with BoutIt by BoutIt. We are two Black hairstylists who work on all textures of hair. In cosmetology school, we're taught not to talk about religion, politics, sex, and salaries. But this is what happens when Blackness meets the beauty industry. While you're here, please subscribe to our channel. We love respectful discourse, so leave a comment. Make sure you like this video. It's a free way to support our growth. You can connect with us on all platforms via Black Behind the Chair. We also have a phone number, so call or text us at 470-713-5905. Leave your @ if you want a shout out, but you can also comment anonymously. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
Happy
So
Sunday.
we have so much to get to. But before we get started, I need one word to describe your
Under this wig, it is a
hair.
hot mess.
I feel that. I feel that. My one word is summary, because I'm not typically a braid girl. But since I've cut my hair off, summer is coming. Humidity is crazy in Atlanta. So my apprentice actually wanted to practice feed-ins. I think she nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks so cute.
Yeah.
I'm feeling beach ready. What about you, Kris?
My one word,
Mhm.
just lazy, because I've been on spring break for a couple weeks and it's about to end, so I'm just ending my little lazy spree.
No, I feel that. That is the one thing I miss about being locked is the ability to just wake and shake.
Actually, I just washed my hair. That's why it's braided like this. I washed it and
Yes.
retwisted. So when I go back to school, like I'm going back to school. When I go back to work, I can go back fresh.
Right. She gonna be fresh.
Be fresh. They be like, "Oh my gosh, what did you do to your hair? It looks different." I'm like, "I did it."
Yes. Like girl is clean. I love it. Okay, so like I mentioned in the beginning, we have a lot to get to. We invited Kris, also known as BoutIt, to be on with us today because M-Pad and I were kind of ruminating about the St. Louis mayoral race. And if I have any questions about St. Louis politics, BoutIt is my go-to person. She is in the know, like you know, in the behind the scenes tea, all that. So we're definitely going to touch on that. But before we get there, I wanted to reach back. If you're a loyal listener, you know that one of the characteristics of Black Behind the Chair is we're kind of an ongoing conversation. So we'll reach back to old episodes. And M-Pad has mentioned in several past episodes where she is officially in charge of white people's business. So when we talk about white people's business, M-Pad be knowing the tea. And so we've talked about Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and Justin Maldoni. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
several times. So I was explaining to M-Pad how our algorithms must be getting crossed because I could not pick Blake Lively out of a lineup. Like I don't know who she is for real. But all of a sudden, their stuff is starting to come across my algorithm. So this, I want to show you guys this video, and then let's have some commentary around it. I saw this video a few days ago.
Guys! Deadpool Prime here. Our fight isn't with you.
When I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth.
Do I need to play it again, or we got it? Did you understand what was said? Okay. All right. So I did not know. I've never seen Deadpool. The only thing I know about Deadpool is that it's not for children. My oldest grandson is obsessed with Marvel and all things superhero, and he comes and stays with me in the summertime. And so one summer, he came to stay, and we wanted to go to the movies, and he wanted to see Deadpool, so I was going to take him. And I was talking with one of my clients, and they're like, no, don't do that. So I'm grateful for them. So I didn't know anything about Deadpool. So in the clip that I just showed you is Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' daughter. I think her name is Inez, 7 years old, who was shouting about taking Wolverine's dick out of his mouth. Did you catch that? This is their daughter, right? So then so now I'm just going down the wormhole. So Ryan Reynolds is doing some interview where he's bragging about how his 7-year-old daughter, he had to coach her to say that line. She didn't want to say it. And he threatened her with getting another actor to fill that spot because his 7-year-old daughter didn't want to shout about taking some guy's dick out of your mouth. So that's the first part, right? So I'm just like, what lessons is his daughter learning in this moment, right?
Right.
But the other part is, and you can't see it in this video, but go and look that scene up for yourself, because I was telling you I have a conspiracy theory around this too. If you look at the whole scene, a moment after that, the camera like backs up and you get a wider shot. There's a fucking pizzeria in the background. And I don't know if you guys remember the whole QAnon theory with children and child trafficking and like, so I'm just like, are we advertising? Is that what that was?
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Seems like a really big coincidence to me.
I think it's also weird too because apparently like the blind items on Hugh Jackman is that he's probably gay. Like he's DL, and like that's why he's divorcing his wife. So I feel like they threw a little shade in on Hugh Jackman too, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That is wild.
Well, I was gonna say also in that movie, what's his name? There's Nice Pool, and he has like the long hair, and like if you look close enough, he also has a nose prosthetic. And people were saying that's supposed to be making fun of Justin Baldoni when he had his man bun and like they made the nose look like him. So then, fast forward, they shoot and kill Nice Pool, like in a brutal way. And if you look at when he's shot and killed, it's in front of a flower shop, which was like the whole, like, it ends with us. Like, that was, like, Blake Lively's character owns a flower shop.
Yes.
And it was Lady Pool who, like, did the final blow to Nice Pool, and Lady Pool was played by Blake Lively.
Wow. Layers and layers and layers. So the flower shop thing has even further convinced me that the pizzeria was not an accident.
Right. So
Like you
I
just
was
put your lady up
hearing
on the block.
I was hearing with this thing, somebody on TikTok was saying that, and I don't remember the movie or the actor, but there was another movie that Blake Lively was in with an actor who has dark hair, kind of the bigger nose, just kind of like looks like Justin Baldoni. And apparently, like Blake and that actor, like, you know, maybe had a thing. Ryan accused her of like cheating, was like following her around, was like on set, lots of problems. And so then she gets this movie with Ryan, and they're kind of having like the same experience. And so I feel like a lot of what happened was because of Ryan Reynolds and his jealousy.
And
At least
that's
that's
why
what the
him and
streets are
Scarlett
saying.
Johansson split up too.
Say that again, M-Pad.
Ryan was married to Scarlett Johansson before, and they were saying like the reason why they divorced was he got all upset because her career took off faster than his did.
Yeah, he's gross. Like I was in the wormhole for 10 minutes and I felt like I needed a shower. Like he's gross.
Yeah.
And you know, your story about him doing that to the daughter, I read a story. Have you guys seen the Amityville Horror with him in it? It's actually like not a bad movie. I'll say
Okay.
that. But
Okay.
there's a scene in there where his character, like, he gets possessed by like some demons and he ends up going a little insane. And there's a scene where he's like possessed and he slaps his stepson in the movie. And I read an article that he slapped that boy in real life and
Wow.
like tried to blame it on the pressure of like playing a possessed man.
So he's just a psychopath.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is a psychopath.
A lot of
Yeah.
Is what I
Hollywood
is what
actors like to say that, oh, I was method acting, I'm method acting, but really they're just gross. And they're abusive, and then they hide it behind their craft, their art.
Exactly. 100%.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I loved that.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I definitely want to get to the St. Louis mayoral race. We're going to get there here shortly. Also, we got our first text message the day after we got together last, and it was someone who was very upset because M-Pad did not vote for Kamala. So we definitely want to talk about that. We've got to get to, of course, all things current Yahtzee regime. We want to reach back and touch on Andrew Tate. As we've talked about before on this podcast, there's been some new developments with him. So there's a lot we want to get to. But before we do that, I definitely want to go and address the comment. It's an anonymous comment. Yeah, they were really pissed. They said that you are a part of the problem. And I'm like,
You know,
really? not, not, not like the 500 years of like oppression and trash and like not that.
right?
You.
Yeah, me specifically. Yes. You
Yes.
know, it doesn't upset me. I heard it during Hillary.
Mhm.
It is kind of funny because when people say that, I'm like, well, what are you gonna tell me that I didn't vote for her because she's black and a woman? Because I can tell you that's not the reason why I didn't vote for her.
Mhm.
So, and I always like to clarify, I 100% think that she was better. She is better than Trump. Absolutely. But do I think that she's the best for this country? No. And maybe if she wasn't a Democrat, like, I don't trust Democrats anymore. And she is a part of that system. And I was seeing her already starting to like go back on some of her promises. Before she was all like, she was for the Green New Deal and to stop fracking And then, of course, she was like, oh, well, I believe that there are better ways to frack. And it's like, can you really be a part of the Green New Deal and also support fracking? I don't think you can, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I was seeing a lot of the same old stuff that Democrats do, and they run their whole campaign on all these promises, and nothing happens. And, you know, she talked about she was going to codify Roe v. Wade. Well, I know you weren't president, but you were pretty close to the last president who also said that he was going to do that. And that didn't happen. And so I'm over the two-party system.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Kay?
I mean, I understand, like, I truly do understand why people, like, feel the way that they do. And I think a lot of it, one, is, like, people don't, like, they're not breaking it down to, like, what state do you live in? You know, are you living in a state that is going to definitely vote for Donald Trump? You know what I mean? Or do you live in a purple state where, you know, it could, you know, your vote, you know, staving off Trump, because I don't believe, you know, the whole 92%. I don't believe that the vast majority of the 92% were voting for Kamala. I feel like the vast majority of the 92% were voting against Trump, and understanding that, you know, I don't like the two-party system either, but also that's what we have, you know what I'm saying? And we can either have status quo, you know what I'm saying, which is terrible, or we can have, you know, a quick descent into fascism. And I think that's why, you know, people are making that assumptive statement, you know, without understanding all of the facts behind it. That's why people feel comfortable saying that. But I always say that it's not the people who didn't vote for Kamala or the people who voted third party is the reason why Trump won. The reason why Trump won is because people voted for him, like millions of people, and or allegedly, you know what I'm saying, they stole that shit, but you ain't hear it from me, you know, so because he did get all the, not some, but all the, you know, the purple states or all the, you know, so I mean, you know, I think that people are angry. They just want somebody, you know, they just want to, you know, have somebody to blame, or just to feel like, you know, it was somebody's fault for what happened. And really it's a conglomeration of things that just kind of fell. You know, the more, like, I hear people talk, like, Kamala was never supposed to win. Like, she was never going to win. You know, it just wasn't in the cards for her. And I think that, you know, this country wanted to play in the face of a woman, which was Hillary Clinton, because at the time, whether we liked her or not, she was the most qualified person to run for president, probably to that point. And then Kamala Harris, who was probably the most qualified person to run for president at that point, and was told no because, you know, white supremacy. So, you know, she was never going to win anyway. It was always supposed to be this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, to me, and I've said this a bunch of times, like, to me, it's the same plane. It's two wings of the same plane. So it was still going to be fascism. It was just going to be kinder, gentler fascism under Kamala, was kind of my stance on it. And I did vote for her in this last election, but the only reason that I voted for her in this last election is because I live in Georgia, and I felt that my vote would have mattered more. Had I lived in Indiana, like I did the previous election, I would not have voted for Kamala. And I just feel like if the Democrats want our vote, then the Democrats need to, first of all, grow a fucking spine, and second of all, like, get your messaging together and come out and win my vote. But to think that I owe you my vote because you're kinder, gentler fascism, and so instead of, you know, openly calling for, you know, rolling back DEI and all of the things, you know, it's the same shit. It's just quieter and gentler. If you want my vote, you need to earn it. bottom line. And nobody owes you anything. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, a two-party system is not democracy. And so fix your shit. If you want me to participate in the way that you want me to participate, then you need to fucking fix it. But from what I can tell, all the systemic injustices and bullshit that we go through is a feature of the system, not a bug. And so y'all need to figure that shit out first before you're trying to blame somebody else. Yeah. Any closing thoughts on
I
that?
was just gonna say, I also think some people need to learn, like, uh, what the difference between, like, advocating for something and supporting something. Because, yeah, a lot of Democrats support, like, progressive policies and, say that they want to do this and that, but are they actually advocating for it?
Well, yeah,
And
because what does that mean? Like, to say that you support it is like, okay, I hear you, but what are your actions?
exactly.
Your
Exactly.
actions don't say that you support it.
Right. Yeah, and I know, like, for me personally, again, like, Jill Stein got arrested up here at Wash U during, like, a pro-Palestine protest. Meanwhile, like, Kamala, during one of her little rallies was like, well, if you don't want there to be a Palestine, just go vote for Trump. Or, like, and it's like,
He
well,
wasn't wrong though.
why do we have to why do we have to say it like that?
She wasn't right. I
Like,
mean, she wasn't wrong. I
What did
mean,
she
in
say?
saying that,
Wait, what did
no,
she
those are
say?
facts.
What did she say?
She was,
no, 100%.
What
but
did she say?
that if you don't want there to be a Palestine, go vote for Trump.
Ah, I got
And
you.
and she said it in response because there were some pro-Palestine protesters at her rally, and I
Right.
think they were chanting, like, "Free Palestine," and then that was her, like,
Did she
response.
address the fact that all of the thousands of people who have died over the last year and a half all happened under her and Joe Biden's watch, though? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's a slower burn, but like Palestine's still gonna be gone if we don't stop them from bombing
Yeah.
children.
Well,
Right.
I think that's kind of the thing. I think like uh, on one hand, you know what I'm saying, if you're cold, calculating and distant from your politics and you're not just voting for somebody based on like if you like them, like we know she's terrible, but do we want to fight fascism with like clean water and, you know, an intelligence agency that's not going to, you know, get people who are in the field, you know, murdered or you know, people go kidnapped and they don't even care about them because they happen to be black servicemen? Or do you want to fight fascism, you know, under slightly better conditions? The problem is that when the conditions are slightly better, people don't really feel or see the fascism, and it's going to get increasingly harder because protesting under a Biden or a Kamala was going to already be fraught with, you know, police brutality and all of this. It's going to get way worse under, you know, Trump. And, you know, I just think about it even like personally, like even though I have an American passport, I don't have an American birth certificate. So I'm nervous about flying out of the country now because what if they don't, you know what I'm saying? What if they decide that I'm an enemy combatant and now I can't come back to the United States because I wasn't technically born here, even though my parents were service members. I have an American birth certificate and a social security number. So this isn't out of the realm, you know, a possibility. And we don't think about it because we're like, well, I'm an American citizen. Well, you know, so am I. But they're already taking people who are American citizens but have different levels of, you know, how they got there. So I think that's kind of, I hope at least for people who are, you know, further left, that that's their mindset when they're thinking about voting for a Kamala, is that I don't want to have to fight this regime under Trump. It'd be far easier to fight it under, you know, a Democratic. But the Democrats, honestly, are just they're, what is it called? Like like their opposition, but not for real. Like, what is that called? There's a word for it, where they, you know, pretend to push back, but ultimately, you know what I'm saying, they want the same things anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, it just take down the system, complete
Yeah.
overhaul,
Yeah.
Yeah.
remodel.
And so as sick as it made me when I realized that Trump had won again, um, and I was depressed for weeks afterwards, like really struggling, right? But I feel like it's forcing people to face reality faster. Like you don't have any, like we don't have any choice. Like this is what it is. Where people could argue or debate, like, oh, it's not that bad. Things have come so far. Had Kamala won, we can't do that anymore. Like it just whatever is happening, right? Um, so I think it sucks. And also I'm hoping that it moves us faster to whatever comes next. Because like I'm fucking over it.
I also feel like too, with the amount of money that both Trump and Kamala had raised with like endorsements and donations and stuff, both hit over $1 billion. So like that, I feel like that should just prove to you, if you're the average American, right? Like those candidates aren't for you. They're not serving you. Whereas like the other candidates that ran, I don't think any of them like went over $5 million.
Yeah.
Um, so like that should just tell you right there,
No,
it's
for
not
sure.
working for you.
I also just want to say something about Jill Stein. I know a lot of people voted for her, but I don't really trust her either. I really don't. I do like the Green Party, generally speaking, and I feel like she does benefit a lot from that. But ultimately, I think that she is basically a white womaning, and she's using this like platform and movement to, you know, to garner whatever. The allegations about her being compromised by Russia, and I don't know, but I think they should be really truly looked into. So I don't trust her. I don't trust her either. I just think that she again would be a slightly nicer form of what we already have, and I think that ultimately the agenda that she has, unless we were able to put people in like if we're going to do Green Party, we got to start on the local level in Congress first and foremost, because you can't get to the presidency or anything, because once you're there, they're going to pull a Barack Obama, and your agenda is not going to get passed anyway, no matter how leftist it is. It's not going to get passed with the current Congress, whether it's more Dems or more Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, when I was doing a little bit of research, I want to say there are a lot of local politicians that are Green Party. I think there's a lot more than people think there are. But yeah, like I don't know how they, break past to get into Congress and the House, because yeah, typically you have to pick one or the other, or you don't get taken seriously.
We're sorry. All past, present, and future invites to the cookout have been rescinded and are under review. Don't call us, we'll call you. Goodbye. So I was watching, this will roll us right on into St. Louis local politics, actually, because I just watched an interview. It was Cori Bush, and I don't remember the other gentleman's name, but he was another congressperson who APAC basically like
Jamal
bought.
Bowman.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. I just watched it. It wasn't an interview. They started a podcast. So I was just listening to them, and they were kind of talking about like the amount of money that a lot of politicians are raising, and how, like you were just saying, M-Pad, that when these organizations are donating money to you, they're not donating money to you because they like you and they think you're cool. They're donating money to you because they expect for you to vote a certain way on certain issues, on their behalf. And so I know we've talked recently, M-Pad, about the St. Louis mayoral race and how messy that is, which is why we asked Kay BoutIt to join us and give us some insight on what's happening in St. Louis and how does it affect us nationally?
So yeah, I mean, I think basically, so we had Tashara Jones, who is our current mayor, who's a black woman and the first black woman to be mayor of St. Louis. And she, the incumbent last time, did not file and run again. She was a one-term mayor, Lyda Cruson. And so this was the first time, just a little background, the first time that St. Louis City had ranked choice voting, so you could, vote for multiple people, which is super cool, super, it's what we want. And so last time it ended up being Kara Spencer and Tashara Jones. Now, their platforms were very much similar the first time around. I think what gave Tashara the edge was being from St. Louis, having been in politics for a really long time. I think a lot of times people, really thought of Tashara as a progressive because she's been to protests and she talked a good game, but ultimately she's an institutional Democrat. Like, she was the treasurer for somebody that ran against Corey for the Senate race. It was like a Democrat. Like, she didn't support her. She later ended up supporting Corey fully and everything, even against Wesley Bell. But initially, I would say that she was kind of a stalwart Democrat in the St. Louis scene. So she got to be mayor during COVID. So the first couple years of her mayoralty was, getting us out of COVID. One of her major promises was closing the workhouse and fixing what was going on with the Injustice Center downtown. And so there were riots, a couple people lost their lives, lots of investigations behind that. The workhouse did get closed, but then that meant more people at the Injustice Center downtown, which caused, a lot of the commotion that you saw. I think the workhouse is being closed now, and they're about to tear it down. And some people feel like that should have been a homeless shelter, which I think is another thing that people are really upset with Tashara Jones about, is that she did not come through with her promises for the unhoused. Now, with Kara Spencer, I think that she talks a lot. She's an alder. I can't remember. I think maybe like fourth or ninth, somewhere down there, more south and downtown, I want to say. And the first time I ever really, Kara was really on my radar, outside of kind of seeing her in Ferguson, was she was running for that alder seat against a black woman named Sunny, or a black person named Sunny. I don't know what pronouns they use. And Sunny was from the community. Sunny was doing the thing in the community, helping the unhoused. And when, Sunny talked about herself, you could really tell that she was enmeshed with the community. And then when Kara got up, all she did was talk about how great Sunny was. And it was just like, Kara was well-funded. She's in touch with the business community. And I think that's what the biggest complaint about her is now. With all the negatives against Tashara, I do believe that she is trying to make inroads in North St. Louis. I think her first 2 years, she was digging out of COVID. I personally think she deserves another chance, and I honestly don't think that people are going to get the change they believe they're going to get with Kara Spencer, because she's being funded by developers that want to come in, like tech developers, the developers that want to develop downtown and want the it's either COVID money or like Rams money to be spent, more of it to be spent with the developers. Like they said, if you give us like $100 million, we'll spend 200. And so the city was like, well, we'll give you 60. And they're like, well, then we'll only give you 100, even though they have 200 to spend, because they want more investment from the taxpayers, even though after they get those investments, they're not going to do anything to help the actual citizens of St. Louis. And then that still leaves the north side where all the black folks are. It still leaves the north side kind of high and dry. And I think that's really what people who still support Tashara, like, she is making, yes, she's made a lot of mistakes. And they do believe that she is still trying to redevelop the north side in a way that includes the community, and not just, on the backs of the community.
Yeah. M-Pad, do you have questions?
No,
I know
I was
you're
just gonna say, what'd you say?
you're in St. Louis, so I know this affects you directly.
Yeah. I'm actually in the county, so I'm not in the city. But yeah, I was just curious, and I think, Kris, you commented about like I was kind of shocked to see Heather Taylor endorse
Same,
uh,
same.
Kara Spencer. So then that's why I kind of was like, now wait a minute,
Yeah,
what's
that
going
shocked me
on? And
too.
then I just seen a few other like people that we know in the community as well, like
Yeah.
support Kara over Tashara. I was kind of like, whoa,
But
what's
when you think about it, Heather Taylor's still a cop.
no,
She's
100%,
still a cop.
100%.
you know.
Yep.
And so I,
Yeah.
and so she never like I read her post and I was like, whoa, that's weird. But she never really, other than feeling like it was some like administrative, bureaucratic things, she never, really was, So to some extent, I wonder if she worked for her, maybe it felt personal, maybe I don't know. But I was really shocked by that. I wasn't shocked that Reverend Gray's sellout self doesn't support her.
No.
And, because I commented on a post with the drama so Reverend Graves is a pastor and he helped Corey in her race and then decided to support Wesley Bell. But his wife was working under the Tashara Jones administration. They had tension or whatever. And then she had an employee use a company car and drive to a casino in Jefferson City. And then they basically were like, okay, we're going to fire you for that because you shouldn't be doing that. And she's like, well, other people didn't and they didn't get in trouble. And it's like, well, okay, fine, but fight that out. And that's what I told her. I was like, first of all, you need to fight this out in court. And second of all, you and your husband are opportunists. And I wouldn't be surprised if you end up in Kara's administration because your husband's supporting her. You're mad at Tashara now. You got this lawsuit going. Like y'all ain't even from St. Louis. Y'all are, y'all came here, got into the political scene and been trying to take over. So like a lot of the people I feel that, have issues are like personal issues and they're thinking about like, oh, this personally, but not being cold, calculated and removed from their personal feelings and being like, what would actually be better for Black St. Louis? Because these are Black people, and there's other people that I think of as being like great activists or whatever. I want to say she lives in the county too because she lives down the street from me, Michelle. She does a lot of work with the unhoused and people getting out of prison, and she wasn't really supporting Tashara either. But I don't see why they believe that Kara is going to give them better results. To me, it feels like you're punishing Tashara more so than you truly believe that Kara is a different politician.
Yeah. Because I agreed. I was like, I don't think Tashara, I think she could have done better and like, with a few things, but I was like, is she any worse than anyone else that's been mayor? Like, no, I don't think so. So,
I think
yeah,
she's
I
been
was
better in
just,
some senses.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I was just curious because, like I said, I've seen a few people that we know that I thought they would have been siding with Tashara, and they went to Kara, and I was like, oh,
But I mean, I'm sure they have great reason, but I also feel like to a certain extent, like they see kind of the tide turning. She's not been very popular. There's a lot of like, little petty things, people getting it. Like if you go on her page and you talk stuff, she's gonna clap back on Facebook. And people don't like that, especially because she's a Black woman. They don't like, that they feel like, well, you've gone out of town and traveled and done all of this. And she's like, well, yeah, I'm going to meet with other mayors and other city officials so I could bring back interesting, innovative ideas to St. Louis. And to some extent, I think, she can tout that. But I also, to a certain extent, I think she's tired. She looks, when I see her on TV, she looks real tired. She looks a little defeated. I don't feel like she's really fighting as hard as she should if she wants it. I've been there in a race where I was just like, where I felt like I'm probably going to lose and I don't feel like fighting that hard to ultimately lose anyway. So that's kind of feel the vibe that I get whenever I see stories about this. But and then the fact that like Elliot Davis who's like the you paid for it guy, will not get off her neck. He will not get off her neck. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah,
I read somewhere because I'm not in St. Louis, so obviously I'm not paying as close of attention, but I read somewhere where it's kind of like Kara. One that it is like a white savior complex thing, right? Like that she doesn't really even, she just wants to like be the person to come in and save the day, but then she's bought and paid for, so
yeah.
she's
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I could see that, like I said, when she was when she was running against Sunny for the alder position, this is, a while ago, like shortly after, like, Ferguson and during kind of that time, maybe closer to, like, the Stockton stuff. When she was running against Sunny, it was like, oh, yeah, she's this amazing, strong, black person and does all of this, does all of that. But then couldn't really, tout her record of being enmeshed in the community in the same way. Just kind of, like she could use, the Stockton, or maybe I think that's really when she kind of hit the scene, was during that time, more so than even during like the Michael Brown Ferguson thing. So I see a lot of like left, so-called leftist white people that hop on kind of like the movement thing, and then they kind of use that to, just as some black people did, but a lot of white people use that to elevate themselves in electoral politics, and especially engender themselves with, in places where there's a lot of more black folks.
yeah.
So now she's
Thank
running
you.
against this black woman, and she can say, well, I care about black people, but you didn't care enough to truly support Tashara in her administration from day one. She was going against her because she lost, instead of like truly supporting the mayor and making sure that, the things that you did agree on, like, you know, at least changing the political landscape around police, that you worked really closely with her on. And so I believe that, like, St. Louis is about to get state takeover from police, even though the citizens of Missouri, not just St. Louis, everybody voted that this isn't a good idea. But the Republicans in Jeff City don't care about what the citizens of Missouri say, because this isn't the only time they've done this. They do this all the time. Anytime we get more leftist or, liberal policies, the Republicans will come in the state and try to overturn the will of the people. And so they did that. And so now we're going to have so whoever is going to be the mayor is going to have to deal with state control of the police. And yeah, and the crime statistics that's going to, rise and come with that. So even if it's Kara, but maybe the white people in Jeff City will be less petty to her. I doubt it, because she's a liberal and she looks, like the people that they hate.
Yep.
Word.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Literally. But honestly, if you plan on leaving, you better hurry up, because the way that this man is making the entire world hate us very, very quickly. Like, it's giving abusive partner, right? I've been in an abusive relationship. I know how they work. One of the very first things they do is isolate you from your friends and family. And I feel like that's the stage we're in now. Like, he wants to get us alone so that they can beat us in private. Like,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Also, before we change the subject too much, going back to the whole like Democrat Republican thing, I also wanted to say to that person that was so upset with me, like, why are you upset with me for like voting? Like, I did my right thing, right? Like, I went out and voted. Instead, I wish people were mad at the system that allowed Trump to win twice. Like, I didn't do that. The system allowed for a fascist to, win this elect twice. So I don't know. But yeah, it's okay. You can blame me. It's fine.
No.
I think, like I said before, it's not like one person or you, but I think it's just something tangible to be upset at. And I think also people are, because it's not you or your vote. I think they're thinking of like the mindset of like the so many people who are like, I'm not going to go vote, or I just hate her so much, even if they live like in purple states. There were people who were, like, oh, we're not voting for her because of the, war in Gaza. And then, and then it gets escalated under, the new person. So I think that people, they just, like I said, they just need somebody or something, tangible that they can feel, because they can't do anything about the system. They can't go off on the system.
It's just somebody that you can directly lash out at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Misplaced anger,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, for sure.
I don't think that we're going to shame people into like voting back for the Democrats, because they're terrible. So we'll see. I mean, like supposedly in like Florida and Pennsylvania and a couple other places, there's some really close races, but that's less because people are interested in Democrats, and again, more because they're voting against something. They're not voting for something, and that's sad. That's a sad place, sad state of political affairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's just it. So for me, unless the Democrats do something pretty major, like the singing "We Shall Overcome" on was it the House floor or the Senate floor, wherever they were. That was like the final straw for me. I am so fucking done. I am done. And I think what I said was that they needed to stop singing and start swinging, or you will never get another.
Yes.
I cannot.
Get active.
Like, it's embarrassing at this point. Like, you're not even trying. I just feel like you're not even trying.
No. No. And I don't think they're really, I think that, like, because activism in politics, is part of it is performative, but they're doing the wrong dance. Like, they need to, like, get a new choreographer, because this ain't it. But then also, you have people like Jasmine Crockett, who seems like she's a couple seconds away from swinging, and people are also mad at her for the things that she says and things that she does. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I like Jasmine Crockett. I like her. I like her a lot. But I'm very disillusioned by the Democrats right now, and that's just that on that. I'm disillusioned by the entire system. Like, it's
Right.
all trash. It's all trash. Throw that shit in the garbage and let's just start over from scratch.
Right.
It's all trash. So yeah. Hey guys, it's me, Peppermint Petty, one half of the dynamic duo that is Black Behind the Chair. First of all, we want to thank you for spending your Sunday evenings with us. Every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can join us for salon things, politics, current events, news, jokey jokes, and more. We just love this little community that we're building of like-minded people, and we just want to say thanks so much for being here with us. We're trying to hit a goal of 500 subscribers by the spring, so if you could do us a quick favor and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Also, engaging with our comment by liking, sharing, and commenting allows the algorithm to do what it does. Lastly, if you have something to say to us, anything at all, a question about something in the beauty industry, a topic you'd like us to cover, leave us a voice message at 470-713-5905. You can do that anonymously, or leave your social media if you'd like a shout out. And now back to Black Behind the Chair. M-Pad wanted to know, what does it mean to be socially liberal but fiscally conservative? What does that mean? Like, to me, when I hear people say that, I just feel like it's like a catchy saying for someone who doesn't want to be accountable for actually doing anything. Because, like, to me, if you believe that, like, children deserve to eat every day, right? Like all children should be able to eat every day. That costs money. So you can't then be like, well, but I don't want to pay for it.
Right.
Because like, who's gonna pay for it, babe?
Right.
Like we all, and I've always said, like, if I can choose where my money goes to, I will happily pay whatever taxes. If I know that my taxes are going to universal health care and children are going to eat every day and no one's going to live on the street, I will happily pay taxes. Um, but like as it stands right now, we're coming up on the tax deadline, and all I can see is these fools in the White House stuffing their pockets with tax dollars.
Right.
I don't want to pay for that.
Right.
I'm cool on that.
Yeah, facts. So when somebody says they're fiscally conservative, but they're, socially progressive, to me, that means that they don't want people to know that they're a Republican. And that they're ashamed because they know that socially those ideas are not necessarily popular. And so that's a way to, kind of align yourself with people who I think are, have better ethics and morals because they actually care about other people. And so it's a way to be like, yeah, I agree. Like, Black Lives Matter, but you know what I'm saying? I don't want to, I don't think that we should, make a government program and spend money on it because I had made a Facebook post recently, or not Facebook, TikTok, about the fact that, there are so many white people mostly in this country who love like liberal or leftist policies like the healthcare, Social Security, free education, all of these things that are leftist policies that that they like the policy. The problem is that they do not want people that look like me and you, people who, live or love differently to benefit from this. And so somebody was, it's like we can take the topic at hand right now, which are trans rights. And the Republicans understand that you can take this group of people who's unprotected, who people will, it's still safe to say, negative things about this community, right? And so they can say this and take all these things and use that to stop people from voting in their interest, which is the healthcare, da 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 da. And the guy was like, well, no, that means they're not leftists. Well, no, duh, they're not. But everybody enjoys these leftist policies. They just don't enjoy them when somebody that looks like me can have access to them too.
I've always thought that is such a weird thing. Like, what makes you think that you deserve something more than someone else?
I'm
Just
white.
based off of looks. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that meme of, it was a picture of Steve Bannon and then a picture of Idris Elba, and the caption was like, one of these gentlemen thinks that he's the superior race and is the most intelligent being. Like, yeah, and it's like,
They're
what?
bugging for
What?
making Steve Bannon be the one because he's so
Yeah.
disgusting.
I got
Literally, like, gross.
yeah.
And I'm like, do those people get imposter syndrome? Like, how do I struggle with imposter syndrome and
They
Stephen
don't.
Bannon is out there walking around thinking he's the superior race?
Because there is a whole world and system set up to let Steve Bannon's crusty, dusty, ugly, wrinkly, blocky ass skin self believe, you know what I'm saying, that he is superior to anyone. It's like society continues to reinforce the supremacy of the most mediocre. It's ridiculous.
I
Literally.
say all the time that if, um, what is it called when you die and come back?
Resurrected?
No.
I know
Oh,
it's
good Lord. I
not
can't think of
karma,
it.
but like karma. You said
No, it's
Reincarnation?
resurrected,
reincarnation. Thank
reincarnation.
you. I'm like, I hate when it's like right there. I'm like, if reincarnation is real, I want to be black in every lifetime, but I want to be black, but with the confidence of a mediocre white man
Oh,
because
absolutely.
The way they do the most basic shit badly and act like it's the best thing ever, I need that confidence. Because, yeah. But no, they don't get imposter syndrome because this entire system is set up for them to succeed. And that's why I do not donate money to white panhandlers,
No,
period. Because what the fuck are you doing with your life?
right.
All this white privilege and you're asking my black ass for money? Absolutely not.
The
Mhm.
one time I helped this white woman was because she had a mixed kid, so I bought a bunch of food and stuff for the kids.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Here you go, babies.
Yep.
So we have a comment from D Sharp. Oh wait, hold on. That was an old one that I missed because I wasn't on my job over here. No, she's over here. She said he's up here wearing 3 shirts and looking musty. I think talking about Steve Bannon.
Oh,
Yeah, like, oof, gross.
Yeah, hilarious.
I wanted to bring up the socially liberal and physically conservative because I saw that meme, or I saw a caption, and someone was like, could someone explain this on simpler terms? And someone commented and they were like, they're pretty much saying that they don't want the gay homeless person to die because they're gay. They want them to die because they're homeless.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah. And I don't know how people don't understand that economic policy is social
Oh,
policy.
yeah. And I really think that this is just a side note. I really feel like this hit the lexicon or like the zeitgeist, the media because of Love is Blind, season 8.
What? This most
Where they were
recent
huh?
this most recent season?
Yeah, it was in Wisconsin, and there was this white woman who was dating a guy whose political beliefs were kind of seeming to lean a little bit right, but he wasn't being upfront about it. And then she was with her sister, and maybe her sister's like girlfriend or wife. Her sister's a lesbian, and
Mhm.
she was like, "Yeah, I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm socially liberal," and her sister was like. Because she was like, well, I'm just hearing about this for the first time. But she was
Yeah.
kind of, entering her pick me era where she was trying to, play down her leftist ideology for this man who was a little more right. She wanted to align with him when she didn't need to.
Yeah. Well, and I did watch this season and he was also very religious
Yeah.
and yeah, it did come across like he was trying to downplay it. Like I think he was more opinionated than he was letting on. He
Oh,
was just
yeah,
trying
but
to
he was
go.
trying to get the good at it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Her and then the other couple whose names I don't remember, but it was a black couple. What was the
Hmm.
biracial guy with the white mom,
Yeah.
and then the black woman, and his whole family were Trump
Yes.
supporters.
Including his ass daddy.
Crispity, crackety, crunchity. I was like,
Hmm. And you know what? In what world was he ever really going to be with that woman anyway? She is a goddess, and he was a bum.
yes, facts.
Right. He
Facts.
was the one that got all upset about the prenup, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he was going to sign it because his life was going to improve regardless, but she was like, yeah, no. I like the
They
way she
did
was
for her.
gassing him, though. She was like, no, this is to protect your Jordans and your money,
Yes. Yes. Santa had Nate sign a prenup on Love It or a postnup because on Married at First Sight, they get married at the altar, but she had him sign a postnup before she agreed to stay married. And it's a good thing because they're divorced now.
Mm.
So,
Have either of you seen the Oscar movie Honora that just came out?
I
no.
haven't seen
I
it, but I did just watch a spoiler on it, so I'm very much in the know now.
What is it? I don't
Oh,
know. What is it?
it follows an exotic dancer and she like gets married to some like rich Russian son, and then like once his family finds out, it's not good. And in situations like that, like you have two consenting adults that did this legally, and because his parents didn't like it, like pretty much all that well, do you guys care if I like spoil it?
No.
Okay.
A spoiler alert.
Or any of the listeners. It's a really good movie, like you should still watch it just in general, but they were pretty much like, we're gonna get this marriage annulled and we'll pay you the $10,000 like fee or whatever. And it's like, well, shouldn't she maybe be entitled to a little more than that? Like,
I'm like $10,000.
yeah,
Right.
right.
You
And
can't
I
even
mean,
buy a car with $10,000.
right. And I mean, I'm talking stereotypical, like probably Russian mob family, like millions of dollars. And they just discarded her like she was nothing because she's a sex worker. And I'm not even really a sex worker. She's an exotic dancer. Like, and so it's just like, why do you think she's less deserving because of where she comes from? Like, your son wanted her.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like shit like that happens every day in America. I could be
No,
wrong.
it made me wonder, like, yeah, I wonder how many like strippers have gone through that. Like,
Yeah.
some rich guy.
Yeah. In the synopsis that I watched, because there was like this video about it, they made it seem like that possibly he married her because he just wanted a green card, and he felt like she's cool, she worked for the money, so we can get married. I can get my green card, and then live my ultimate life in America away from my crazy, family and the Russian mob, oligarchy, whatever. So like maybe he wasn't. I don't know, because like I said, I haven't seen it, but I felt from like the little description that I got, the 8-minute video I watched, that maybe he wasn't that into her, and that he was just maybe using her.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
See,
in that
I don't
case,
know,
you could name her
because
price.
that's a good point. I will say, like, in the movie, when he finds out that his parents are coming to get him, like, they flew to America and were pretty much like, you're getting on this plane and coming back to Russia. Like, and he did not fight it at all. He was just like, as soon as he heard that they were coming to get him, he knew that it was over.
It was over.
So I don't know. I feel like if he wanted to, if that was the purpose, like a green card, I thought he would have maybe tried a little harder to stay.
Yeah.
But as soon as he heard like mom and dad are coming, he was like, "Oh no, I don't know this woman."
Wow.
Well, he's
Like,
probably
yeah,
gonna get cut off. They were probably like, either you come with us or you could be in America broke.
no,
Yeah.
for sure,
And
yeah.
because the Russian mob will buy her cement shoes.
Okay. And
Classic
will.
Yeah. Well, and I was like kind of shocked she married him anyways. He is not, I mean, he was rich, but like he was not, he was literally like a 20-year-old child.
Yeah.
Like,
Listen, I'm on my second marriage and I love my husband. Lord willing, we'll be together until the end of time. But if something happened to him, the only way I would ever get married again would be for money.
Oh yeah,
Just
for
saying.
sure.
The only
I
way.
respect that.
Okay, so look, we have gone over our first hour, which is fine. We always do that because we just be yapping. But I feel like we should read out the first hour and take our break.
All right. 1 second. That's a wrap, but the movement marches on. Black Behind the Chair isn't just a show, it's a statement. We're M-Pad and
Peppermint Petty, featuring K
joined
BoutIt.
by,
Okay, about
yes,
it.
challenging you to be your most authentic, unfiltered self, both in the salon and beyond. Keep shaking the table and breaking the mold. Until next time, power to the curl.
Cheers.
Cheers.